Hello, Awesome Soul here, back with a fairly different kind of video. This is going to be somewhat similar to the other top 10 that I did, although this is going to be a top 15, where the other one was just general features I want for Robocraft. This is for specifically the Garage Bay as well as the Community Robot Factory, aka the CRF. So, I've gathered a list of 15 interesting points that I've created, as well as with the help of my girlfriend, who has never actually played Robocraft before, but despite not actually playing the game before, she has come up with some very good points that could definitely improve the game in many ways. These aren't in any particular order of importance, I've just kind of arranged them how we came up with them. So, number 15 is the ability to unlock/pay for more garage bays. For those that are somewhat new to the game and haven't created billions and billions of bots, although I guess you can't exactly do that, because, like I was about to say, there is a limit. So, once you actually reach the 100 bot limit, you cannot build any more creations. This is obviously done to save server space, because all of the bots are saved server-side to prevent any hacking or any funny business. But yeah, 100 bays does seem like quite a lot, but once you've been playing the game as long as I have, you will have a lot of really good bots that you love to death and you don't really want to ever part with. So I'm kind of coming to that point myself. I have about 60-ish, maybe 70 of my own bots, and then a bunch of things I've bought off of the CRF, or made for little mini games. So I am at currently 98, so possibly the ability to buy more garage bays would be fairly useful. Obviously you'd do this with real money, similar to how they did it before, but maybe buy them in bundles of 10, for example. Number 14 is a wish list for the CRF. So say you don't have enough money, but you come across a bot that you really like, well, you can now save it to your wish list and then you can buy it later. Number 13 is a favorites feature. So when you're in your garage bay, for example, you could click a button on your bot and it would be a little star icon. Once you have that toggled, it would then add it to favorites. Once you've favorited multiple bots, you can then select a filter which will show only your favorited bots or all of your bots. Again, this is useful for somebody like me who has a ton of creations and you don't really want to spend the time scrolling through about 100 different garage bays. Another good reason to have a feature like this is because, as you know, the meta does tend to change a fair bit with every update. So you could have a list of 10 bots that work really well in the current meta, hang on to a few, and then maybe they might come back into relevance a little later. Because I do have a few myself that were really good in the past and could still be good. They just need a few tweaks and balance changes, but that's done through free jam and not really fixing the bot in any way. So those could be on the back burner, and then you have your favorited bots that you use in the current meta. So, number 12 is expanding on the stats info bar when you're in your build mode garage. So as you know, we have total armor, armor per CPU, total mass, and mass per CPU. But that seems like a very short list of stats. There are a ton more things that go into the robot. Obviously, we do have the power bar near the bottom, so that's not too big of a problem. But one thing that I know a lot of people have wanted is the ability to see the top speed of your bot. Now, the way the game works is a little wonky, especially when you have multiple parts providing different speed. So say, for example, you have a sprinter bot that obviously goes 184, I believe is the current top speed of a sprinter, but you strap a propeller on the back, which increased the jump speed substantially. So how do you factor that into a bot speed? Well, what I propose is average speed. So while you're in a match, the game will track your maximum speed throughout the game. And then after the game is over, it will give you an average speed value. It will do this multiple times to build up the average speed stat. The only possible problem here is, since this is done by Garage, if you remove all of the cubes on a bot and then build something new without actually deleting the garage bay, then it would have to calculate the average speed again. But really, that's not too big of a problem because most people just delete the garage bay and then build something new. They don't actually manually delete it and use the same bay. But that's the one thing that I sort of came up with, the average speed. But what about you guys? I know there's a lot of things we could elaborate on as far as bot stats go, and I would like to hear what you have in mind for that. The other thing that I did kind of just thought of, so here's your point 11.5. This is something that kind of bothered me, and it's the fact that you can only see those bot stats when you're in build mode. When you're just perusing your garage bays, you can't see those stats. And I assume it would be simple enough to just show them in that mode. So, I don't know, just do that, please, Free Jam? That'd be great, thanks. Anyways, point 11, bot stats when buying in the CRF. Now, right now, it's not too big of a problem because, again, there's not a huge amount of stats. But if the stats are ever elaborated on, then definitely adding this to the CRF is a must. Because the more information you have when purchasing a bot, the better. Don't want your money to go to waste now, do you? Number 10 is the ability to let people change their bot rating of purchased bots. Because as you know, once you leave your first match or complete a match, you will automatically be taken to the screen that tells you to rate the bot. Well, what if you had a really bad match and you just got completely stomped? Clearly, you're gonna rate the bot a lot worse than if you had a good match. So, perhaps adding something like this where it'll alert you after you've played 3 matches with it, or you can change it whenever you feel like, would probably be a good idea. It would definitely help out a lot with CRF ratings, I feel. Because it's very rare you will ever see a bot with actually 5 stars. The highest average, at least, is about 4 in everything. Like even on the very top of the front page, you're usually gonna see 4 out of 5 stars. Another thing to do with the CRF and buying bots is when you select a bot to purchase, you can then click on the creator's name, and then it will take you to see all of their other creations. A fairly simple feature, but would help a lot, especially if you like what you see and are possibly looking for something similar, but say this thing has ions on it, and you don't really want to play ions, so you click their name and then you see what else they have. So maybe they have a version of this bot with rails on it, and that's more your style. Number 8 would be adding tags to the CRF. So right now we can only really filter by name, and it's a bit of a problem, because if you have a really cool idea for a name, then people aren't really gonna be able to search for, I don't know, Tempest, for example. They won't really know what they're getting. But if you tag it with mech and super fast and high jumping, then people who want a high jumping bot would type in, you know, the high jumping tag, and then it would come up with all of the bots that people have tagged with, well, the high jumping. Seems simple enough, and it shouldn't be too hard to implement, or at least I wouldn't think so. Number 7 is more of a cosmetic thing, but it's something I've kind of wanted, at least as a secondary option. So like a secondary cosmetic only cube type. And this would be a fully connected block, so ones without any lines. Because if you look close enough, you can definitely see that there are connections between all of the cubes, like the little lines that we have. So I think something that would be cool is to make it look like a big solid mass. And it would especially work with number 6, a texture gun. So the way we have it right now, we've got the block placement gun and the painting gun. But why not a texture gun? So these would most likely be premium only or possibly an extra purchase. I doubt that though, so most likely just premium only. This might cause a problem though if FreeJam does decide to implement that heavy and light armor system they've been talking about, depending on whether or not they want to have different textures for light and heavy. But for now, I think it would be pretty cool. Say for example you want to paint flames on your bot. You could do that, or you could paint camo or anything else really. Maybe just like the old TX Cube texture where it's got like the little cyber lines on it. Number 5 has been a community favorite for quite a while. I've seen it pop up here and now, still to this day. And that, of course, would be multiplayer building. So if you wanted to build a bot with your friend, then you could do so. Or if you're new to the game and have a friend that is a lot more experienced than you, they could hop into your garage bay and show you some tips or tricks or what have you. Number 4 is also more of a cosmetic thing, and that would be swapping your garage bay style. So, if you remember back to the Halloween event, they actually changed up the garage bay, and they had a special Halloween-themed garage bay with pumpkins and spooky portraits on the wall. And the best thing about that is they were actually animated, which was pretty cool. So if you stared at them long enough, they would go all shifty-eyed on you and look around like a spooky haunted painting. Of course, there would be other styles of garage bays as well, but I can't exactly come up with anything. Possibly just different color swaps or something like that. And chances are this would be a paid feature as well. Although I guess we do have the special premium only garage bay that you're automatically upgraded to, but you can't really downgrade if you want to. So say, for some odd reason, you prefer the basic garage bay over the super glowy fancy garage bay, well then you could swap to it under this system, and swap to anything else FreeJam decides to add. Of course, this isn't really that important of a feature, I just thought it was something that's kinda cool. But one that is kind of cool, but then again, it's not really that important either, is the color replace feature. So, for example, you wanted to quickly change up the coloring on your bot. Instead of painting your entire bot again, and then going over the lines of, say, you have black highlights, for example, but your bot's mostly white. So you could select every white cube on your bot and turn them to blue, but you would keep the black ones the same. And then you would keep the grays the same, or maybe you have a few red cubes, you would keep those the same. So if you wanted to change up the black cubes as well, you could change every black cube on your bot to a purple, for example. So in no time at all, you take your bot from being a white and black bot to a blue and purple bot with just a few simple clicks and not having to painstakingly recolor your entire bot again. And number 2 is an undo button. This is something that should have been in the game from the start, and I don't really know why we still have yet to get it after nearly 4 years. I guess it's something that you kind of don't really think about until you really need it. Like say for example you delete something and you hear the delete sound, but you don't know exactly what you deleted. I know I've done that a few times, and now I'm frantically searching the bot for what part exactly I deleted. Was it important, or was it just a random cube somewhere? And then number 1, again this isn't really in any order, but number 1 is the old iridescent colors back. As I'm sure many of you know, they are planning on adding more colors to the game. 16 to be exact. And as I've pointed out before, there are 16 colors in the old color palette for Robocraft, back when tiers were a thing, and the whole tiered block system. Over on Twitter, I did actually retweet a piece of artwork created by Zephyrshock, and that was a 3D render of the old cubes compared to the new colors. And I also responded to it by tagging Rick as well as Mark in it. And I said, make it happen guys, I want to see those old iridescent colors back so badly. And wouldn't you know, Rick, the lead developer on the art team, actually favorited this. So, could this possibly mean we will actually be seeing the old colors back in Robocraft? I certainly hope so. But that will do it for this list. I'm curious to know what you guys think should be improved as far as the Garage Bay and CRF goes. So leave your comments down below. With that guys, I of course have been the Awesome Soul. I thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.